Julie, what are your thoughts on sort of the forecast for, exploration into new modalities in biosimilars, and maybe what needs to happen to enable or empower developers to explore some of these modalities that haven't been explored yet?
Thanks, Matt. And I do believe that our members and the industry is going to go in and explore and are looking at some of these modalities. But let's talk about what has to happen in order to make it, number one, feasible, there's going to be a return on the investment, and then also sustainable. Because I think that's, developing a biosimilar is a 10-year decision, because you have to determine as the developer, and I keep moving my thing because I have a bio window, but you have to make a decision to develop a biosimilar 10 years before it could possibly launch. And that's because right now it is $250 to $300 billion, and it takes anywhere from 7 to 10 years to develop a biosimilar. And that's because of the scientific rigor of what the science is and the analytics and the testing that our developers and members have to do in order to show that the product is the same as the reference product and everything else. We do not cut corners on the science. We do not cut any corners on safety and efficacy. But I think what is really important is also right before this call, the forum has a scientific affairs committee. And that is our member companies' scientists, the immunologists, these analytical people, the scientific people. And we continuously talk about the new science, the new development. How do we show it even better? We talked about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, FDA published a paper looking at every biosimilar in the US and whether or not there were any adverse or negative effects. There were none, zero. And this is millions and millions of patient days of data. So I think that is so important. But the other standard the forum, the industry has, is education. We work with the FDA as our members tell us they're going into a new therapeutic area with a biosimilar. We partner with the FDA to get them in front of those doctors and those associations and those patients. And the FDA is the educator because they are the authority. So I think that's so important. But let's talk again about the future. The IQVIA paper, which is so important, and I hope everyone, if you can download it, it's free. There's I'm going to look at it. There's 118 biologics that could have biosimilar competition in the next decade. Only 12 of them have biosimilar competition coming. Only 12 of 118. And this has a lot to do with what needs to get fixed. We need to fix the FDA review process and streamline it and make it more efficient. We need to fix market access so that the PBMs do not prefer a higher cost product. And Medicare, we need to fix Medicare so it gives beneficiaries access to the cost savings. We need to do those things. We need to fix interchangeability. Biosimilars are interchangeable. We need to get the Red Tape Elimination Act done. The science is there, the proof is there, the FDA agrees with it, just as Dr. Patel mentioned. We need to take that away. It was put in the bill, the original bill, if you look at these things, as a barrier, okay? There are several barriers put in the original text of the legislation to decrease the potential competition of biosimilars. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the suffix. Do you know no one uses the suffix? So it was originally put in there. Again, we were starting off with something new to create a signal so that, but it just creates confusion. We've learned lessons. We have experience. We need to clean up some of these things, just like you said, Matt, in order for this unbelievable opportunity for cost savings to actually be created.
Yeah, that dichotomy between opportunity and pursuit is just far too great. That really hit me.
Yeah, it's a 10-year decision. And so if these things don't change now, not 5 years from now, if they don't change now, that opportunity is just not going to be achieved.
Yeah. We're taking some good questions from the audience I want to get to here. Hetal, I know you're chomping at the bit to get to at least one of these.
Yeah, but before I address the one question, I think, Julie, that also this other question ties into what you were talking a little bit earlier. So Constantine is asking, what are the differences between biosimilar approval issues for the US versus European market? I mean, you scratched the surface talking about interchangeability. That is only a US only terminology, does not exist outside of the US. But do you want to address or elaborate on that question further?
Did you ask me to do it?
Yeah, or I can add them later. Because it was tied to what you were mentioning earlier.
Yes. Well, yes, interchangeability is only a U.S. issue. It is in the original text of the BPCIA because there was a question of whether or not a biosimilar could be substituted by a pharmacist. And the science shows that the biosimilar is interchangeable to the reference product, and most likely interchangeable if they have all the same approvals and stuff like that to each other. The difference between FDA in Europe on interchangeability is Europe, and this is again what industry believes as well, it's up to the physician to decide which biosimilar the patient should receive. And it's a physician decision. That's the same thing here in the US, with the exception of biosimilar substitution at the retail pharmacy. So across the country, though, the retail pharmacist has to tell the physician, I'm going to substitute this interchangeable biosimilar with what you ordered. And that is, so it is law that the pharmacist can do this. They have to tell the doctor, which is good communication anyways. And just that's the difference between the two countries now, or the two global regions. It's not a safety question, okay? It is not a science question. It is a process question, and that's the difference, is how retail pharmacy substitution works in the United States. I hope that helps.
Thanks. Yeah, no,
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so as you know, as Julie mentioned, I mean, both US and EU in their FDA, in their approval process for biosimilars, they both have very rigorous processes laid down that brings a biosimilar to the market. One key difference, as Julie mentioned, between the EU and the US is the designation of interchangeability. And in the EU, all biosimilars are considered interchangeable because they all have showed that they are similar, they are efficacious, with no meaningful difference in the safety, purity, or potency as compared to the reference product. In the US, oftentimes we do need to do an additional clinical or switching study to get that interchangeability designation. Now, FDA is doing a lot of work recently in this interchangeability space to provide clear guidance and state that there is no difference between an interchangeable biosimilar and a biosimilar that does not have that designation. But apart from that, one interchangeability designation, both US and EU have very well detailed plan for bringing a biosimilar to the market and having those rigorous approval processes in place.